Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of Locked On Eagles Squad podcast. That's Harry Mays, and that's Jason Martinez. I'm Mark Farzetta. We got a lot to break down, especially considering the Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys will be kicking off the 2025 season in South Philadelphia for that Thursday night opener. We'll break it all down when we return.
Fly, Eagles, fly. It's the Eagles Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Philadelphia Eagles every week, covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the city of brotherly love, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Eagles Squad show starting now.
That's right, everybody. Your Philadelphia Eagles, because they won the Super Bowl last year, they're going to be starting off the season as we knew on that Thursday night opener. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, who I just want to remind everybody, did not win the Super Bowl last year or the year before that or the year before that or the year before that or the year before that, etc. They're going to be playing against the Eagles in South Philadelphia to start the year. I know there was a lot of talk about people, gentlemen, possibly wanting the Detroit Lions right out of the gate. I know there was talk about other teams. There is no, in my opinion, no better way than to start this season than against the Dallas Cowboys. Does anybody disagree with that? Jason, I'll go to you first. Eagles Cowboys week 1. Too soon?
I was shocked that they did it because you're going to get a huge number on that night anyway.
Sure.
Because it kicks off the season. So why go to one of your premier matchups, division matchups, in that spot where you can put that in another week? So I was surprised they did that 115 days, 7 hours, 2 minutes, and 4 seconds from now when they'll kick it off. I got the countdown clock going.
I got it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, 115 days, 7 hours, and 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're right. I mean, we're right there. I mean,
Yep.
I can only imagine now. It's Cowboys week already. You know,
He'll be doing that in June.
Oh, exactly. Like the build up to Cowboy Dave calling the radio shows and all these, displaced Cowboy fans.
Yeah.
Talking smack about Dak or Jalen and the tired arguments. Fact of the matter is this: Eagles are a 7-point fave already.
Yeah.
We'll see how the line moves, but no, I was surprised that it was the Cowboys because I didn't think the NFL would kind of go to that well right out of the gate when they didn't need to, but they're going to kick it off in fine fashion in South Philly, and it will be fun. And the Eagles will have to take care of business. Otherwise, the Cowboy fans will get all swolled up pride if they come in here and beat the reigning Super Bowl champs to open the season on, in the prime time.
Well, this sure beats the hell out of Sao Paulo or wherever the hell they opened the season last year against Green Bay, taking a home game away from the Eagles and going to Brazil. So in that respect, I'm into it. I kind of thought it was going to be the Lions all along, and maybe that's why when it came out that it was the Cowboys this morning, I saw it. I'm like, it was kind of a little bit of shock. But now that I've had some time to process it and think about it, I think it's awesome because you're unveiling the Super Bowl banner that night, and it's going to be right in the face of Jera, who is going to be on hand somewhere in some suite, and he's going to have to watch that ceremony. And Dak Prescott will probably be healthy. Meanwhile, he's missed a ton of these games against the Eagles over the course of the years. Like he and Jalen Hurts, I think, have only met each other, 3 times since Jalen became the quarterback because he's been hurt. So there'll be no Cooper Rush, some donkey playing quarterback back there for the Cowboys. It's going to be presumably Dak Prescott, barring some preseason injury. And I'm looking forward to that, to kicking their rear ends with a full slate of players.
No
they
excuses.
Stink.
Yeah, no
they
excuses,
stink.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. No Ben DiNucci, nothing like that going on with the Cowboys.
DiNucci, there's another one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yes.
They have trotted out some pigeon quarterbacks over the last couple of years when Dak
tell me about it.
Invariably can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I honestly thought it was going to be the Lions. That seemed to be more on point with what NBC had been, the NFL in general had been doing in the past. Like last year, for instance, you look at Ravens, you look at Chiefs. Either one of them could have made it to the Super Bowl last year, either one of, or 2 years ago rather. Either one of them could have won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So that kind of rematch made sense. People wanted Eagles-Lions in the NFC Championship game. So, Harry, I'm on the same boat as you are as far as what to expect. But the fact that it's the Cowboys is awesome. This could very well be the highest rated football game of the year in week 1, the opener. Eagles Cowboys always gets a ginormous number. You want to talk about being shocked? I was shocked last year. NBC didn't carry the game on Sunday Night Football. They've always carried the game on Sunday Night Football. I worked for that crew for 11 years, Jason. I know you know that. And we were always in Dallas for Eagles Cowboys. We were always in Philly for Eagles Cowboys. It was always split between the two. It was always a game that the nation paid attention to because there's always a Cowboy effect. The Cowboys are either loved or hated. There's nobody that has some kind of, I could take them or leave. No, nobody feels like that about the Cowboys.
Yeah, nobody's ambivalent on the Cowboys.
Yeah. People will.
But do they still carry the cachet today that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like,
The NFL tells us they have to carry it.
To my point, the Cowboys, no, the Cowboys do not.
Yeah.
The fans of the Cowboys do.
Okay.
Because it's not so much the Cowboys as a team as much as it is their fan base. Okay. Like I consider it to be like the Cowboys are early 2000, mid 2000s Dane Cook. He's kind of funny. He's not hilarious, but his fans are like, this guy's the funniest guy ever. There's never been a funnier comedian than Dane Cook. And I'm like, have you ever gone back and watched like George Carlin or anybody like, no? Okay. It's not so much the team, the entity, it's the fan base. That's what pulls now, I believe, the passion from the fans when it comes to the Eagles fans versus Cowboys fans. That's what I think people in the city get up for more than anything. It's to be able to shove it in the Cowboys fan base's face.
Yeah, and it's not the fans of the Cowboys that are in Dallas.
Right,
it's
the legit
fans of the Cowboys that are here.
Yeah.
See, that's the reason why their fan base has this staying power or this kind of power to be a team that's always on the watch, because their fans are all over the country because they slipped on a pair of pajamas, when they were in fourth grade. With Randy White,
Harvey Martin.
Yeah, those things. Those are the reasons. And like I'd never understood like this. The whole Cowboy fan thing in Philadelphia. I mean, it is one of the most fraudulent things in the world, and it's just for the most part the commonality of the DNA of the Cowboy fan in Philadelphia. I don't know what it is in other markets. I don't live there. I don't give a damn. But the commonality of the Cowboy fan in the Philadelphia market is simple. They all just weren't hugged enough as a kid. They're contrarians. They do it to get attention. That's why they do it. And, so they walk around in enemy territory wearing enemy colors to get a reaction just because somebody didn't hug them enough as a kid to get attention. I'm not a psychologist, but it's pretty obvious what they're doing. They need attention. So what do? You wear the enemy's colors in the enemy territory as an outlier and a fraud,
right? And
it works for them.
But
and they get to be the guy that doesn't belong because they.
We're going on 30 years almost. 29 years since they won a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. Yep. The internet wasn't a thing when they won the Super Bowl, Harry.
Exactly.
Flip phones weren't even.
There was no
yet.
smartphone. Exactly.
We had average intelligence phones at that time.
Right.
Jerry Jones was only on his third face. It's true. It's amazing. That's how far back you have to go, fellas. So let me ask you this. Actually, to piggyback on something Jason said, I feel like I am going to dinner and they're just serving steak right out of the gate. Like there's no appetizer, there's no warm up, there's nothing like that, and there's not even an aperitif. There is
no bread with the oil, nothing.
Nothing. Just boom. They just slap a porterhouse down in front of you. That's what it feels. And to be honest, I very similarly to the way I felt in 2009 after the Phillies won the World Series, very similar to the way I felt in 2018 after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I just want more. Like there's no, like people talked about for the longest time, especially during the championship drought that was, People talked for the longest time about, oh, maybe now this will satisfy the rabid fan base of Philadelphia. The hell with that, man. We had blood in the water. We wanted more. And now what's standing in front of you, getting started off on the right foot for the new season after you unfurl the banner and get out there, is the Dallas Cowboys. That is what's standing in front of you. Let me also just remind people of this. And this is something that I'll never forget. When the Eagles did win the Super Bowl in the 2017-2018 season, and they unfurled the banner on Thursday night when they opened up the new season, the Eagles played the Falcons in that game, and they came out playing like ass, in the first half. They were booed off the field.
Wasn't it raining and stuff, too? It was delayed because of thunder and lightning or something?
Yeah, it was delayed. I believe you're right. It was because of lightning. And then I remember after the game, the Eagles ran not Philly special, but Philly out of the gate. Nick Foles catches the pass. They go on to win the game. And I remember Malcolm Jenkins after the game was asked about being booed, and he said, I would have booed us too. We didn't have anything going. Last year was last year. This year is this year. It's the same type of thing. But now because it's the Cowboys, everything's going to be heightened. You're going to want to not just come out of the gate and win. You're going to come out of the gate and dominate against this Cowboys team.
Yeah, look, I thought the whole notion, you bring up a good point. We went 25 years between championships in Philadelphia, and had there been no lockouts, it'd been 100 pro seasons. And the notion that, well, it'll satiate our appetite, will be good for a decade, was baloney, because winning is as addictive a thing as there is, especially in today's climate of the NFL and pro sports, where you see teams winning when they win a championship, they win multiple. You go back into the 2010s to the 2020, there were teams in all the sports that won multiple, whether it was the Miami Heat, whether it was the Chicago Blackhawks, whether obviously the New England Patriots did it a bunch. And you see this happening, and the Yankees have always won multiples. And you go, the fan bases don't get satiated with championship. They get addicted to championships. And when you have a window and you have a team and you have a culture and the structure of an organization that's capable of doing that, you want to capitalize on it as much as possible, because invariably you will go through a stretch again where it's a prolonged stretch where you're not one of those teams. So you got to eat as much as you can when you're at the buffet before the buffet dries up. And that's how I look at this season with the Eagles. And, they've got 2 Super Bowls since 2017. I'm not satiated at all. I want them to win again this year, because now we know how much fun it is when they win too.
Well, here's the other thing that they did, the Eagles. They got the damn Kansas City Chiefs out of this game. We were going through a lot of Chiefs fatigue. I think really a lot of football fans were in general, outside of Kansas City themselves. And now finally the Chiefs are kind of, all right, AFC, they're one of the favorites. They have an 11.5 win total, as do the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Bills. It just came out from MGM a couple days ago. So they're still one of the top teams, but thank goodness they're at least out of this game. And maybe I can watch fewer State Farm commercials with Kansas City Chiefs personnel in them. Noted Andy Reid now is Mr. Commercial Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has no personality here
Get
now.
Sirianni in a commercial. He'd be a goofy commercial guy, wouldn't he? He'd be terrific.
You don't like him in the local car commercials?
I'll
tell you what. He's in the Gary Barbera.
Oh, it's Barbera?
Okay. Is Barbera the best?
Boy, I guess.
Boy, I guess.
You never have to really, no pun intended, coach him up to have enthusiasm. Oh, he got a free Jeep or something, man. He's ready to party.
Well, you know what? Like Andy was like, here, time's yours. Got to do a good job, all that baloney. And now he's doing fumble rooski, fumble-aya, the Rob Schneider shtick from back in the day. And I'm going, who the hell is this guy? What a sellout.
Bundle rooski do, I think it is.
Yeah, fumble rooski do.
Bundle rooski.
Oh, but is it?
It's when you bundle the insurance.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
See, I hear fumble rooski, bundle rooski. I'm out. I'm done. I've seen enough.
It's sticking. Harry's switching insurance. It's working.
You sat here in Philly and bored us to death for 11 friggin' years. You bored us.
You know what? On that note, I'll just real quick on Andrew. I feel like he has gotten older and wiser. And he also won a couple Super Bowls. I also think that helped.
Yeah,
but he always had that type of personality behind the scenes.
Jason, we never saw it. We just never saw it.
You only saw it one-on-one. Or in small groups if he was doing a media tour. He'd actually be funny. Yeah.
He'd come to WIP and he'd go on with Angelo and he'd be like, "It was a better job." And he'd crack a couple little quick quips against Angelo. You don't know anything about football. But then as soon as he came out of the studio into the hallway, it was like, just normal dude, like funny, quick-witted, the whole thing. But that persona he wanted to show when the mic was on, when the cameras were on, he wasn't going to give you anything. It was all about, and look, I get why he did what he did. It was all about for his players, to take heat off the players. Players love that when the coach takes the bullseye and puts it on himself and tries to take it off them, which it can be effective to a degree. But, he was actually, you see these commercials, and it's more the real Andy Reid than the one that we ever thought he was.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to jump a little bit deeper into what Harry was talking about a second ago when it comes to this Eagles-Cowboys rivalry, because it is an interesting thing. And I think we're going to find out a lot about this as it really revs up, because this is the longest amount of time we're going to have knowing when a game is and then actually watching the game. This is the longest rev-up period, if you will. As you joked earlier, Jason, the Eagles and Cowboys are already on the clock. This isn't Cowboy week. This is now Cowboy off-season.
It's Cowboy Summer.
Cowboy Summer.
Right.
Yep.
It's
Remember the movie Corvette Summer, Harry, with Mark Harmon?
He
had that Corvette stolen. This is Cowboy Summer.
Can you give me a year on this? I missed this one.
It's probably after Return of the Jedi. Obviously, Mark Hamill is when.
Mark Hamill, not Mark.
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
He tried to branch out and break out of character
and failed.
Yeah, in Corvette Summer. It was probably early 80s, 83-ish, I want to say.
Okay.
All right. I want to jump into that conversation. And people in the chat, I'm going to be going to you as well, people of all ages, because I need to know this answer. Is the Cowboy, quote-unquote, rivalry with the Philadelphia Eagles? And either at worst, it's a division rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a rivalry. I know a lot of people like to jump into it's always Washington and the Cowboys. No, not anymore. The rivalry?
They can have several rivalries, that team.
Sure, absolutely. Is the rivalry what a lot of us make it out to be still for people, let's say, of a younger generation? We'll get to that when we return. This is Locked On Eagles Squad podcast on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Oh, you might have already noticed Louis DiBiase not with us today. He has the day off. He will be back with us when we tape later in the week. The schedule will come out in full in 2 days. Right now, we have the nice little nugget dropped, a little breadcrumb. Thank you very much, NFL. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we come back. But first and foremost, I got to tell you about, how fantastic Monarch Money is. You guys not taking advantage of Monarch Money? You should be taking advantage of Monarch Money, because do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did the money go? I know it happens to me from time to time. I know I like to dine out. I also know that I like to get my food delivered right to my door, so I have to do as little as possible and just enjoy a fine meal. Well, Monarch Money, it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. And you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start actually building wealth. When I started using Monarch Money, I realized how much I was spending on food delivery. And also, instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch Money to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared personal accounts, as well as set goals and stay on the same page without all the stress. Monarch Money does all the work for you. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com with promo code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year at monarchmoney.com with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Welcome back, Eagles Squad podcast on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are checking out our friend Louis DiBiase and our co-host Louis DiBiase on all things Eagles. When it comes to this very YouTube channel, he provides the daily content, and make sure during the Eagles season you guys are following Harry and Jason throughout the year for the Locked On Eagles postcast. Gentlemen, I think,
by the way, real quick.
Yes.
Corvette Summer was 78. 1978 is when it came out. There you go. There's the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. Now, who's the broad?
I don't remember, Harry. That's a great question. I might go back and watch the film.
I gotta look this
movie
up.
poster. And that car, it got stolen, and he built it, and he's chasing it down all summer,
right?
Trying to get his car back.
Sounds like a great script.
Yeah,
Did this come out around the same time as Repo Man?
Very possibly did. Matthew Robbins directed it.
1970. Annie Potts. Annie Potts.
Wow.
Oh, she was a babe.
She was a bomb in Pretty in Pink.
She was terrific in Pretty in Pink.
She's still acting. She's in Young Sheldon now.
Oh, really?
Wait,
is that right?
Janine Melmack from Ghostbusters? Is that who Annie Potts is?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
She was a rocket in her day.
Oh, totally hot.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Go back and watch this.
She has one of my favorite lines in the history of television. And I think it was a show called Love and War. I think that was the name of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But the I think she's married her, but I don't know. I didn't watch the show religiously. I just caught this one line. And the husband says, what do you want to eat? And the wife says, I don't know. How about Chinese? And he goes, we just had Chinese last night. Who eats Chinese 2 nights in a row? And then Annie Potts goes, in the most perfect delivery possible, about 1 billion Chinese people. Just like that. The way I mean, it's one of those, you don't do it justice. You got to hear her say it, but it was just, so deadpan. Chef's kiss. Beautiful.
She was nominated for a Golden Globe for that film, Corvette Summer.
What? Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
See what we've sussed out here today on the program?
June 2nd, 1978.
Yeah, so
it's
just
after
this movie. The original Star Wars.
I don't know, but it made $36 million, and the budget was only $1.7. So that's a hit.
Well, he was
an
a
hour
huge
and 45.
star. He's coming off Star Wars, So
I got an hour and 45. I can watch this. It's only PG.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they had to attract the young Star Wars fans.
Danny Bonaducci?
Is he in it
Is
as well?
he in it?
Apparently.
All right, maybe I'm not going to watch it.
According to Google.
Yeah.
Anyway. So the Eagles. Okay, now I am going to watch this movie, Jason. Thank you. The Eagles are taking on the Dallas Cowboys to kick off the 2025 season. But I have a question, because there's going to be a lot of talk just leading up to this week 1 game, and we'll know the rest of the schedule on Wednesday. But, gentlemen, is the Eagle-Cowboy rivalry, I think it applies to all the way the three of us grew up, is it as venomous and is it as real as it once was when it came to teams being respectable? Like the Cowboys being respectable as a legit Super Bowl contender, and the Eagles as maybe a dominant defense. Maybe they can win a Super Bowl on their defense. Maybe they can win a Super Bowl with Randall Cunningham. All that. Is it what it used to be? Or, Harry, do you think we have embellished a wee bit in recent years?
I think it's being embellished severely in recent years. Okay. To me, it's not anywhere near what it was years ago. I mean, when I grew up, the Cowboys had Tom Landry on the sideline. He was dressed in a suit. He had the fedora. He kind of reminded you of like your father. And there was an intimidation factor for me, at least as a kid, seeing him on the sideline, patrolling the sideline, having Roger Staubach, the All-American man who went to the Naval Academy as their quarterback with the clean-cut look, and he was so perfect, and like he probably didn't even curse, did Roger Staubach, and they were intimidating. The star, the hole in the roof, the whole bit. The silver helmets, for God's sake. It was like, wow, that's Dallas, man. They're for real. Like, we beat them, we're legit. And now they're like a punchline. They really are. They're a punchline in the NFL.
I agree.
Yeah, they're the diet Dallas Cowboys now, because you're right. Like in those days, from Landry and the dignified professional look on the sideline, you got guys wearing sweatsuits on the sideline now. I mean, Belichick's cutting up sweatshirts with a rusty razor blade on the sideline. There's no dignification in the NFL like there was back then. And then you go from obviously Staubach and Dorsett, and Randy White, and some of those great players, and then you move into
Drew
the
Pearson.
Aikman. Yeah, you move into the Aikman era then with
the
Emmitt
big three.
Smith. Yeah, I mean. And so much hateable in there too. Novacek and all those years, and Jimmy Johnson as the coach, and even Barry Switzer, even though he's kind of a boob to some degree. But Jimmy comes off of being the University of Miami national championship coach, so it was easy to hate him and a perfect hair. So you had all that, and you had all that success, and now that they haven't had the success, and it becomes excuse after excuse after excuse under Jera, and they haven't won since Jera's had the team.
Yeah, I hope this owner lives till he's like 140.
He's going.
I'm serious. I never want him to pass away, because as long as he's alive running the Cowboys, they're going to continue to stink.
Yeah.
I hope he lives to 110 and doesn't stop running the team.
Yeah. I mean, he's got his hands in it all the time. From the bad decisions of Jason Garrett as the coach to Wade Phillips, some of the coaches that they've put in there over the years.
Dave Campo, remember that one?
Yeah, I mean, what a joke, right? Just an absolute gong show. I mean, then they pay a guy like Dak Prescott the money they did without earning, I mean, is he got a high pedigree? Yeah, he's got a lot of talent, but he's never lived up to it. It's been mistake after mistake. And, we manufacture this rivalry now because of these, these illegitimate fans all over the country that aren't from Dallas. So it is a bit manufactured now. It's still fun. And maybe in some ways it's more fun, but it would mean more if they actually were a team that you were threatened by, and they very rarely are a team you are threatened by anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's the big part of it. It's that I don't take the Dallas Cowboys serious anymore. And look, if you're being real, you've seen the Dallas Cowboys have some great seasons. I mean, they went 15 games without losing at home over the course of 2 seasons. That's pretty good, but they don't
Romo?
Win in the playoffs. What's that?
Was that under Romo had a good run.
Romo had a good run, but no, that was under Prescott.
He couldn't win in the face. Yeah, he couldn't win in the playoffs though either.
You know what their
literally
is?
his introduction to the playoffs was dropping the snap in Seattle.
Yeah,
right. Do you know what their playoff record is since they last won a Super Bowl?
I want to say it's like I would say 3-12.
You're pretty close. 5-13.
Yeah,
5-13.
5-13.
5.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I'm shocked they won 5.
I mean, that is
ever since they won.
And look,
I don't.
Romo
they
was
have
a good quarterback, but they just couldn't get out of their own way half the time.
That's exactly it. It just, you don't wait for them to dominate anymore. You don't wait for them to come up with the final drive anymore. I think you wait for them to, even if they have a decent season, choke in the postseason. And then you also wait. Same thing for Romo, and now it's the same thing for Prescott. And I don't wish injury upon anybody, but you wait for them to get hurt because they're not reliable.
And then we're going to be subjected to them on Thanksgiving Day again. If at 4:30, watch them play the stinking Giants again. You watch.
Yeah. They got to rotate these teams on Thanksgiving. Like, I mean, for years we watched Detroit, they're good now, so it's easy to get Detroit now. But for 98% of that franchise's existence, they've been a gong show.
I know.
Just a disgrace. You know what I mean?
That puts you to sleep. Used to put you to sleep before you ate the turkey.
They were tryptophan.
Was like the Lions against the Bears at noon on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
See ya.
That was a tryptophan special, Harry.
Exactly.
Rocky's chiming in here, and I do agree with this. Hating the Cowboys is a generational thing. It's passed down. Hey, look, my daughter's 5. If she walks into the room and I'm watching a Sixers Celtics game or whatever, she'll be like, "Oh, the green team." I'm like, "Nope, no, we don't like them. We don't like them." You look at the red and the blue team, the red, white, and blue team, like America. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I mean, I definitely do it. If there's a Cowboy game on, we're not working an Eagles game. I will say, she'll be like, "Ooh, a star." I'm like, "That's a bad star. That's not the good star. The stars that we like." You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely a generational thing. I can remember my father at a young age just always, if the Cowboys game was on, I was like, "Oh, Dad, do you like this other team?" He's like, "No, I just don't like the Cowboys." I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
So it was just you watch it to root against the Cowboys,
right? And that's
common ground.
That again goes back to the Cowboy bump that NBC refers to, CBS, Fox, ESPN. All the networks want the Cowboy bump, and again, because it's not just about the Cowboys winning and people rooting for the Cowboys. It's an age-old saying, my favorite team is fill in the blank.
Whoever's playing the Cowboys.
Who's ever playing the Cowboys.
Well, exactly. Here's the deal.
Everyone's got to feel about the Cowboys.
They got a manufactured tagline of America's team. I don't recall ever seeing the vote on who was America's team. And I get why they would have gotten it in the 80s or into the mid-90s, because they were a team that was a legit Super Bowl contender year after year after year. But to still call that team America's team is America has not spoken at the ballot box to determine that they are America's team. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to the weirdness of it is that they have this displaced fan base in other cities, including Philadelphia, all over. And because they were America's team, I understand maybe how that started, but that's part of this equation as well as to why, there's so much consternation when it comes to the Cowboys. Everybody's got somebody in their life. We got in this town, everybody claims they're 4 for 4, right? Which I think is total BS, by the way. This whole 4 for 4.
I never claimed that.
4 for 4 is convenient when 4 teams are good.
I'm 6 for 6, baby.
Yeah, you got to put the union in there, right?
The wings. Thank you very much.
Yep. And then you look at it, but you have these guys that are 3 for 4 guys. They're Sixer fans, they're Flyer fans, they're Phillies fans, and then they're a Cowboy fan. You don't fit in the fan base if the one team you go to their arch rival. We shouldn't accept you as a six. Frankly, at this point with the Sixers, I don't know what the hell to think, but they shouldn't be accepted as a Philadelphia sports fan if for one of the teams they root for is the Dallas Cowboys. That should be excommunication in total for that. That is a crime against humanity in this city.
I have a friend, acquaintance probably more so because he is a Cowboys fan. And I tried explaining to him, because he'll always say to me, it doesn't matter where you grow up. It matters what team you latch onto when you're a kid. And I'm like, it kind of matters where you grow up. And I'll tell you why. The reason is the height of your fandom as a Cowboy fan, not in Dallas or even in Texas, or as my Cowboys friends from Dallas tell me, the Metroplex, okay, to be more specific. If you're not from the Metroplex, the greatest joy you're going to have as a fan is alone in your living room, throwing your hands up in the air. That if somehow, some way the Cowboys ever win a Super Bowl again, that's the height of your fandom. The height of our fandom in Philadelphia is 2 million people on Broad Street, the Parkway, and in front of the Art Museum steps, all celebrating together in a moment of beautiful civic and football pride. Enjoy your sofa, Cowboys fans. I'll enjoy Broad Street and my cigars, by the way.
I agree with you, because to me, fandom is community, and it's celebrating, the great moments with all the people in your community. It's the walking into the Wawa saying "Go Birds." It's when the Sixers go on a run and all the flags are on the cars. It is all that. To me, that's what the sports community is. To be an outlier in that, it just doesn't seem. That kind of goes against the whole thing. Yeah, it is pride in your turf, and I mean that the physical ground. To me, that whole thing of, being somebody that's never even been in Dallas and being a fan of, we give athletes crap that come into this town, and they wear a Yankees hat. I remember Iverson, he's not from here.
Right.
He didn't grow up here. He grew up in Virginia. So he had free agency rights because he didn't grow up in a city that had 4 teams. Those people, they are granted free agency rights to pick their team because they don't have the geographical staple.
And he might have just been wearing that as a fashion statement anyway. It might not have even been that he's a fan of the team. It probably wasn't that he was a fan of the team.
And it had nothing to do with the baseball team.
Right.
I hate that. It's become a fashion thing. I hate that.
Fred Durst with the Yankee hat.
Oh, my.
He did it all for the Nookie, though, Harry.
Oh, yeah, right. He did it for the Nookie.
That's right.
True. It's been confirmed. You
can take that cookie.
All Nookie.
Did it all for the Nookie.
We are covering the whole gambit today, fellas. I think we need Louis. Louis
Gambit.
Do you know the America's Team moniker? You know how that came about? I never knew this. It was apparently in they were trying to come up with a name for the 1978 season highlight film. Remember when they used to show that stuff on the NFL film stuff, like on the weekends, and you'd get like the whole season encapsulated into a half hour? And this guy, Bob Ryan, was the vice president and editor-in-chief at NFL Films, coined the phrase when he was trying to come up with the name for the highlight film. And Pat Summerall, the next season, in 79, was doing the first game of the year. Cowboys were playing the Cardinals, and he introduced them as America's team, and it took off from there. I never knew that.
Damn it. And I love Summerall. He's the one.
So do I. So do I.
He's probably half in the bag.
Well, he was. There's no doubt about it.
Back then?
Yeah.
Well, that was before Brookie pulled him aside and said, "All right, buddy, enough of that."
Yeah. Let's not hear the whiskey bottle opening on the microphone anymore.
No, it was vodka. He was a vodka guy.
You could hear him opening the bottle. You know how it has that signature sound with a glass bottle and lid?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it pouring it. Gunk, 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 gunk.
I mentioned Louis a second ago, and we'll have to ask his opinion on this on Thursday, because this is a guy that he thinks has a real good chance of being a starter that was taken in the 5th round of this last draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He just got signed by the Eagles. We'll talk about that when we return. And also, all of us are feeling pretty good right now about the Eagles opening the season 1-0, being that they're going to face the Dallas Cowboys to start things off. Is your expectation of the Eagles to be as dominant as they were last year? We'll kick those around when we return. This is Locked On Eagles Squad podcast and the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Back after this quick blink of a break. Bing, bang, boom. We're back just like that. Like and subscribe to Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Louis DiBiase has you covered all throughout the year for all daily Eagles content. Jason and Harry have you covered for your Locked On Eagles postcast, so don't miss that throughout the season. And we'll be providing some fine podcasts for you wonderful Eagles fans throughout the offseason with this Locked On Eagles Squad podcast. So make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to all things Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. First and foremost, and I will get Louis' take on this on Thursday, but Drew Kendall, the interior offensive lineman that was taken by the Philadelphia Eagles in the 5th round, just signed his rookie deal with the Eagles just a couple of hours ago. We had talked about the obvious Jahad Campbell. We had talked a little bit about Drew Makuba. We even talked about Ty Robinson possibly being a starter on the defensive side of things there for the Eagles. Drew Kendall was the one guy that was mentioned by our friend Louis about potentially becoming the starter at right guard for the Eagles, and he just signed the rookie deal today. I know we've all been watching highlights, just trying to keep up with these guys and learn things about their college years, but gentlemen, here's what has really dawned on me about the right guard spot for the Eagles. If you remember last year, the right guard spot was the big question. Oh, is it Tyler Steen? Is it Mekhi Becton? He's never played it before. He's a tackle. Is he too big to play the position? Whatever. Ends up being a Pro Bowler at the right guard position, and then he signs his deal elsewhere. When it comes to the right guard spot, I think we're in a very similar situation. And I know a lot of people want to put Tyler Steen in there immediately, but the Eagles have a couple of guys here that they might want to give that opportunity to. So does it behoove the Eagles to just give it to Tyler Steen, who played very well at the position last year? Eagles didn't lose a game with him going in there. He was not a turnstile by any means. Or do they, in essence, gentlemen, do they restart the clock and have a guy like Drew Kendall take over as a rookie so they don't have to worry about re-upping a guy like Tyler Steen later on? Jason, do you think it comes down to the right guard spot going to Drew Kendall or more so Tyler Steen?
I think you go into camp and say we're going to have a competition. Because I think that's the best thing for everybody and the best thing for the team. Whoever is going to play better is going to earn it. Now, you're going to be in a great situation because you're going to play next to Lane Johnson, which is always good.
Sure.
So that's, you're going to learn from a guy right next to you every day how to be a pro and how to be, and put yourself in a position to become a regular on this offensive line, one of the best in football that dominates games. If we look at one thing back from last year, the reason why they won the Super Bowl, the reason they were as dominant as they were, the one thing that you consistently said game in and game is that offensive line and how much they controlled the game. So I think you put these two guys in there and go, you guys both have at it. Put your best on the field, and we'll make the evaluation. May the guy who performs the best get the spot. We're not going to hand it to anybody. There's going to be competition for it. So every day, every snap, Everything you put on film is going to go into the judgment of whether this is the job for you or it's for the other guy. So be prepared to come every day and work your butt off to earn it, because that's the only way you're going to get it. You're going to earn it. I think putting those guys in a position to earn the job, not handing it to anyone and saying you have to go take it from him. No, I don't think there's anybody there that's got that cachet to say it's my spot and somebody else is going to have to take it away. I think anybody that's going to get that spot is going to have to earn it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with Jason. Really, it's the only position of flux or doubt whatsoever on the offensive side of the ball. It's really the only spot. And what's wrong with a little healthy competition? Steen and whomever else. Maybe he's the leader. To start with, he's penciled in, on these depth charts as the starter for right guard since Becton's departure. But it's probably because he played a good bunch last season. I thought he played reasonably well.
But he can be displaced because he's just penciled in,
absolutely. Right? But you're gonna, they've got good depth. This guy that they signed here, I think he's the Boston College kid, right? That was taken in fifth round.
Son of a 13-year veteran too. Yeah.
Right. That kid's going to end up playing somewhere during the season because you're always going to have, guys going in and out on injury. And I think it was a good draft pick. But as far as, the starter, let him play off for it. That's what preseason's for. That's what training camp's for. And, how many preseason games do they play now? 3?
It's
only 3 games,
play?
Right? Yeah, right. So it doesn't really give you a whole lot of time.
That's why you got to bring it in practice and OTAs. Even you got to show up in shape. You're going to only get to put so much down. You got to maximize any snaps you get, whether it's in practice or in preseason games. I would think.
Yeah, I'm at the point where how long you to wait for Tyler Steen? And granted, it was a competition last year, and I agree, everything needs to be a competition. Now, if you're being honest with yourself, there's one competition, and that's at the right guard spot, obviously.
Yeah.
But for me, it absolutely comes down to the competition. But who I'll be rooting for in that competition, I want to restart that clock, man. The Eagles are right now it's funny to say this because they just re-upped, although got a $4 million pay cut with Dallas Goedert. But the Eagles are going to be spending some big bucks over in recent years in the upcoming seasons here. I would love to see them be able to restart the clock instead of be 2 years ahead with Tyler Steen and have a guy like Drew Kendall take over and not miss a beat. That's the guy I'll be rooting for in the race.
Yeah, a salary cap league, like to get a meaningful starter playing well at a cheap rookie contract deal is huge because you can allocate those dollars to other places. That's why those young players coming in, like you look at last year with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell coming in last year, you got guys on rookie deals playing like veteran starters by midseason. And how you can allocate those dollars to other places because you have those young guys barely making any dough in salary cap sports, that's everything. That's a huge element. So if you can do that on the O-line, that'd be preferable. But I can't do it at any cost of effectiveness of that offensive line because that's how they dominate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you there 100%. Now, we know the one game so far that the Eagles are going to be playing and when they're going to be playing it. That, of course, is going to be on September 4th to kick off the season against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1. Thursday Night Football, kicking off the 2025 season, the season opener. Can't wait for that game. I know we're all waiting with bated breath to get the season underway again. However, last year was a historic year. And Harry, I know we're going to be going through this as the Locked On Eagle Squad podcast goes on through the summer and the offseason here. But last year was such an incredible year. And the Super Bowl was obviously the biggest possible cherry on top of a great season with a Lombardi trophy sitting on that as well. Is it fair? Is it too much expectations to look at the Philadelphia Eagles in the upcoming season as if they should do exactly the same thing, if not improve somehow over what they did in 2024? Is there a step forward from 2024 to 2025 in your eyes? Or are we already kind of taken for granted that the Eagles are at least going to be at that bar going into 2025?
When you say at least be at that bar, at least be a playoff team and possibly the NFC East crown winner?
Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
They will be one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Because when you look at the other, 3 teams that are right there with them at 11.5 win total, they're all AFC teams. The Eagles are clearly the class of the NFC right now. I mean, San Francisco has taken a turn down with age and injury has kind of ruined them, and you don't know if their quarterback is really, when all things operating around him aren't there, he's not the guy that's going to be able to lift them. So San Francisco is on a little bit of a downslide. I mean, Detroit is going to have a lot of expectations to live up to now this year. That we kind of thought that last year might have been their year, when they could have busted through, and of course it didn't have. They lose to the Commanders at home in a home playoff game. So I think Detroit, although they're really good and returning a lot of those players, they're not at the Eagles level. There's nobody in the division at the Eagles level. I think the Commanders are on the come, obviously.
Closest.
Yeah, they're the closest because of the quarterback. I would say that. Who else? I mean, is it Rams or Seattle in the West? Are the Bears going to make a big jump? They did some nice things in the offseason in the draft. Their quarterback be coming into his second year. Green Bay is always tough. What happens? Where does Aaron Rodgers end up? Does that throw a team that might not be in the mix a little bit higher? Who knows? I don't know what Minnesota is going to do at quarterback. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions, but as of right now, the Eagles are clearly the class of the NFC.
Yeah, on paper, going into the season, they are the class of the NFC. I don't expect this year through the first half of the season to go quite like last year went, though. First of all, you played the latest, playing in a Super Bowl. So your offseason is the shortest. And I just don't know that you can duplicate what Saquon did last year again this year. I think you're going to have to be a team that's going to rely on the pass more this year because Saquon putting up 2,000 yards again is going to be that's a big, big ask to me. Plus, I don't think you want to put your running back in a situation where you're asking him to do that again.
Especially not early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big ask physically and the toll it takes on a player. Yeah. So, I mean, he's going to get his, but I don't think it's going to be that special season like he had last year, almost record-breaking.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they were 14-3 last year. I mean, that's tough to match. I mean, look at the road schedule. They go to Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Kansas City, LA, Chargers, Minnesota, and Buffalo are all road games.
And when's the bye week this year? Last year it was week 3 or week 4?
4.
You want that 4 strategically placed a little bit better for them, like midway through the season, like week 8, 9, 10 would be more ideal.
Sorry, they were 2-2. It was week 5. Week 5 was the bye. Yeah, and then they came out. Yeah.
So a lot of things go into it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But in the end, I expect them to be there because they're a team of that pedigree. That when we get into December and we're jockeying for position in home field, I expect them to be right there in the mix for home field again. Just I think it's going to look different.
I think if the Eagles make it as a passing team to a middle-of-the-road passing team in terms of usage as well as efficiency, last year efficiency was great. Usage was not. They had Saquon Barkley. They kept feeding the bell cow, and it turned into a historical season, as we all know by now. However, to repeat what you did last year, if you're going to be a Super Bowl contender, obviously you're going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. That's where I see the Eagles being at. And again, this comes under the headline of if they stay healthy. This is football. We shouldn't have to say that. I think
that goes without saying.
It goes without saying, right? So when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles this year, one thing that keeps on haunting me is that I would find it very difficult to win 10 games in a row again.
Yeah,
like that just doesn't.
That was a
happen.
run. Yeah, you go 2-2 and then you rattle off 10 straight.
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
But if there's a team that could do it, I know this sounds like rose-colored glasses, Disney-colored glasses, whatever, but it's the truth. The Eagles were so dominant last year. Saquon Barkley had a push-button offense last year. Jalen Hurts had a push-button offense. Oh, I don't have to put the precious pigskin in peril and throw it. I'll just hand it to Saquon Barkley because I like what I see in the defense here. And Saquon
hit a home run every game. I think he hit a home run basically every game.
Yeah. Incredible. Like I look at it from last year, and whenever it was like, okay, in case of emergency, break glass, and there was Saquon Barkley behind that glass, and I kept on thinking, all right, hold on. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest force there is in the NFL. There is no doubt Patrick Mahomes is the greatest force there is. And then those teams played each other in the Super Bowl, And it turned out Saquon Barkley, even though he only averaged, like 2.2 yards per carry in the Super Bowl, they were still all in on stopping him, and Jalen Hurts was right there to take full advantage of that.
Yep.
Still the greatest force in the NFL going into this year, and I believe through this year, will still be Saquon Barkley running behind this line of scrimmage, or this offensive line. So for me, no question, Super Bowl contenders, Super Bowl bound. I still believe they are the best team in the NFL by far, not just the NFC, best team in the NFL by far. Jason, to your point, by the time the season ends, that's where they'll prove it. I don't think it's going to be to the tune of a 14-3 season, though.
No, but you got to just think, like, right now, who's a team in the NFC that you think could win more games to get home field advantage through the playoffs? Because that's really what you're fighting for. You get that, you're golden.
The Lions is the only team. It's the only team that makes me go, let's see. Last year, everybody was banged up. Right. If they would have made it to a Super Bowl, I've said this before, but it's worth saying again. You're talking about the deepest team ever, other than maybe the Eagles in 2017, 2018, and the Green Bay Packers in 2009, 2010, when they had 18 guys on IR. You're talking about one of the deepest teams ever, and that's what the Detroit Lions did up until push came to shove, which is when the Commanders just took care of everything on the road. I would still love to see that matchup this year. I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup. But the one team I see rising again, maybe without those same injuries, is the Detroit Lions. After that, I do look at the Rams. The Rams gave the Eagles all they could handle in the postseason. I know things got
good coach
evened up because of the weather, whatever, and the coach is a good coach. But I would say the Lions and the Rams are the two teams that I'm keeping the closest eye on.
And it's interesting you say those two teams, Mark, because the Eagles face both of them this year at home in the regular season. So you'd get the immediate head-to-head if you win the home game during the regular season.
I'll lock it up.
Yeah.
I'll lock it up right now. The other
Thursday,
team,
the schedule comes out. Is that right?
Yes.
Wednesday. Is it Wednesday or Thursday?
It's Thursday, I think.
Thursday? Oh, it's Thursday. I've been saying Wednesday.
I think it's Thursday.
So we got to do on the show on Friday.
Give him a win, give him a
lost dog.
Give him a lost dog. Yeah.
I got the Eagles going 16-1.
Yeah.
And the only one is the last game because they rest everybody.
It'll be the most monotonous hour-long podcast ever.
Yeah.
I'll just, guys,
imagine
week
36
1.
hours of sports radio of that.
Yeah.
Because that's what it'll be.
It'll be like taking attendance.
Yeah.
Win. All right, chalk it up. W. Yeah, there you go.
Big B used to hate that day because callers would always go over 2 minutes. Because there's no way you could give all your schedule predictions in a 2-minute phone call.
Yeah.
I need them to stay at 2 minutes. Can you tell me why he was on so long?
Never met the man, but I've heard plenty of the legends. Mostly thanks to you.
You never met him?
I never met him, no.
Oh, really?
Let me show you my quadruple bypass scar.
Now, that sounds like a Conklin prank call to the producer.
He was like, he'd whip up his shirt.
Yeah.
First time I met with him, he's like, look at that scar.
I love those black sweaters he used to wear every day.
Uh-huh.
Remember that?
Black dress pants and a black sweater.
Black sweater. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was like a sweatshirt sweater combo thing. A tight tweed.
I gotta hit the button again. Another quick break. Jason, I got your text. I just texted you back, by the way. Quick break. Be right back. Literally, we're back just like that. All right. From the people that brought you, what was it? Something Corvette?
Corvette
Summer.
Corvette Summer.
Yeah.
Summer. All right.
Yeah.
Harken back to your younger days, gentlemen, and I'll do the same. Desert Island movie has to be I'll go 1990.
Desert Island movie, pre-90.
Pre-1990.
So that takes out Castaway.
What the hell? Is that your favorite movie?
No.
Desert Island movie. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
I was taking you literally.
That takes Goodfellas off the page.
That's 91,
That's 1990.
That's 1990, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Goodfellas is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean Godfather 2.
Godfather 2 is in the 70s.
74,
Godfather 2
75.
is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a great one. That's a great
he
one.
was in 85. That was a big movie, but not my favorite.
I always liked The Big Chill.
Yeah.
It had a nice ensemble cast. A good
Porkies,
track.
Harry.
Yeah, Porkies.
You didn't like Porkies?
Yeah. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of the Rockets in those movies. Jennifer Jason Leigh was in that, of course. But who was the one? The one girl. What was her name?
She ended up marrying Kevin Kline, who was in The Big Chill.
Phoebe Cates.
Phoebe Cates.
Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
One of the absolute bombs from the 80s. She was unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Brad was what's his name? Judge Reinhold.
Right. You know, it kind of dawned on me why NBC is doing this and bringing the Cowboys in on the opening week.
Why is that?
Well, it's the dawn of the Brian Schottenheimer era. I mean, seriously. They just went out and got George Pickens, wide receiver from Pittsburgh, and they got Schottenheimer. Look out, man. I'm telling you.
They're going to unfurl them and show how inept they are again.
I'm gonna shake in my boots. All right. A lot of jokes have been made about the unfurling of the Eagles banner, and I was trying to think like what. So everyone says your last championship is on VHS. You know, like what's the last banner? Is it like made out of parchment? Like what is it? Like what? They're how old is theirs? Does it dissolve if you throw it in water? Like what are we looking at here?
I think they had to reissue it because the original ones probably are so tattered and torn that they.
There's a new Indiana Jones movie coming out. The Indiana Jones and the Lost Cowboys scrolls of their banners. They're going to be looking for Indiana. And 96-year-old Harrison Ford, Harry, is going to be chasing down the scrolls and rosters of the last Cowboys championship. Raiders of the Lost Cowboys called.
Yes. He's going to uncover the Herschel Walker trade.
Yes.
Oh, look at this. It belongs in a museum.
Yeah. Oh, the Herschel deal. That's part of America's team, though. Like how big of a deal that was. Wow, I forgot about that Herschel deal.
By the way, I think I would go Raiders. My Desert Island movie. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's a great movie.
What was that?
It has everything covered.
Was that 83? 83, 84?
First one probably was.
I was going to say 84. It was right around,
Yeah.
So either or. It's pre-90.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, Wall Street was one of my favorites, too, back in 87.
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Great movie.
Bud Fox, great character.
Great cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the 80s did have a shock. Like the movies now, we don't get good movies.
No.
Like we used to.
No.
We used to be able to, blockbuster movie every year, and there were some great movies in the 80s.
That's why they're still making Indiana Jones movies.
Exactly.
That's why they're still making everything's a sequel or a comic book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all the Marvel stuff. Yeah.
They just got Karate Kid, whatever. Ralph Macchio's back in it. By the way, Ralph Macchio looks like the new Pope. I can't unsee it. I did totally. I'm just saying. Ralph Macchio is going to play Pope Leo in a movie years from now. I'm telling you.
Isn't the Pope from Villanova? Didn't he go to Villanova?
Yeah, he went to Nova. He went to Villanova.
He was a math major, I think.
He's from Chicago.
Right.
He lived in Peru as a missionary and something else. Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? I mean, I'm looking back at some movies from the 80s now. The Breakfast Club, of course.
Yes.
Stand By Me. One of the best movies, my favorite movie, Platoon, was 1986.
Mm-hmm.
With a young Charlie Sheen, Johnny Depp, Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe. Phenomenal movie.
He had all those John Hughes flicks. The John Hughes flicks. He dominated the 80s, that guy.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Brat Pack, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Caddyshack is in the 80s.
Oh, terrific.
I mean, Raging Bull, Field of Dreams. Great decade for movies.
Gentlemen, I believe that's our time. Louis should be joining us. I guess we'll try to reconvene. I don't know if I can do
we gotta wait till the schedule comes out.
Yeah, Friday.
Friday, maybe Thursday night we'll do something, a little taping. I don't think I'm around, but we'll talk. We'll go around in the text chain. Okay.
Wait a second. You don't have some Phillies postcast to do?
I do, but that's later.
Day game.
Terry, you'll love this. I'm playing golf.
I'm playing
golf on Friday and for a charity. I don't know. I don't.
Oh, you don't
see,
know?
Harry, this is something you got to learn about me. I don't ever make plans to golf. I get invited to golf and then I go.
Okay.
That's the way I live my golf life.
Now, will you hit the driving range before then so you don't embarrass yourself? Maybe it's been a while.
Embarrass myself. I don't really. I go out there for the good time. I'm a vibes guy. Okay, I'm a Garrett Stubbs of golf. All right, I'm a vibes guy. I bring the cigars.
I love it.
I bring an inappropriate amount of bourbon and whiskey, and I'm there for that was a good shot. Hey, I like what you did there. That's what I'm there. I leave the course making you feel good. That's what I'm there for. And if I get one great drive down the middle, I'm done. That's it. I'll just pack up and leave.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
But
Sounds
no, it's for
good.
charity. It's for charity, Harry, on Friday.
So maybe we'll do one Thursday night. Is that what you're saying for the schedule
possible.
release? Okay.
It's possible.
The next episode will come out after the schedule's out. Let's just leave it at that.
There you go. Thank you, Jason. Hey, make sure you guys like and subscribe to all that good stuff I mentioned earlier in the show. This is Locked On Eagles Squad podcast on the Locked On Eagles YouTube channel. Gentlemen, a pleasure as always.
Peace.
See ya.